Hello there, I'm the student, and today I wanted to show you a little interesting mechanic in the game that you probably haven't used a lot yourself, because it seems to be that most people don't really notice that, even though I did, and I think it is actually pretty relevant, so that's why I'm going to present it to you today. And it has to do with this elective monarchy that I have right here. I actually did another video a while ago already about the elective monarchy and how the elective monarchy is super strong, actually. I'm talking about this one basic thing. But the focus there was a little bit on the forager noble thing, where you can choose basically another dynasty and then PU them afterwards. But now I want to talk about a little bit over the statistics of your ruler and how you can actually have 6 times higher chances of electing a 666 ruler, or basically above average ruler, than normal. 6 times higher chance. Okay, this is insane. And, I chose to play as Munster over here, as you can see, the Irish one, because Ireland has a pretty unique one, which is a reform, which is Tenestry reform. And the upsides of that Tenestry reform in comparison to the generic monarchy thing is that it doesn't have the absolutism and the estates influence modifier, as well as some other nice bonuses. And this is culture based, okay? So you could theoretically play France, switch to Irish culture, and get that reform over here. So this is why I wanted to show that, just to have a little example how it can be done even better, but the generic one will work the same way. You're going to see that in a second. And before I start, I have to also say that Bohemia has exactly the same thing, Bohemian elective monarchy, with also other bonuses than the generic one, with the same mechanic over here, as you can see. And the base, or the really strong mechanic that this government type, or the generic one as well, has, is that whenever your ruler dies, which at this case he's already dead, he was like 40 years old or something, you get this event over here, election of a new ruler. And there are several options that you can choose. For all the exact explanations on the options, you should watch my first video on that. But basically, you have one option where you can elect the normal heir. So if your normal heir was a 666, you could keep him with that. It's not that you lose that. You could choose a forager noble, which is typically the one with the biggest development that is bordering you. I'm not sure why it's Scotland right now, but maybe he has even more dev than England right now. But anyways, so you can get another dynasty on your throne. Then there is an option always available for nobility, where you can choose just a random guy from your nobility. And those are basically the generic options, those 3 that you will always have. Now, because I am Tenestry reform over here, I can have another option, which is can elect a ruler from a ruling dynasty. It says that on the government mechanics interaction over there, right? And you cannot see that over here because I have so many options that I have to go down to reveal the last option over here. This is my ruling dynasty, and I can just choose another one to rule over me. And you can already see that he is a pretty damn strong ruler. Before I talk about that, first of all, there are 3 other options that you can basically unlock, which is a general if you have like more than 30,000 troops, but it's not a real general, it's like a random guy, okay? And then the option over here is an admiral, which is also not a real admiral, but if you have 30 ships or more, this option will be available, as well as an influential trader, which is available as soon as you have more than 80% burghers influence. But now you could already see that this one over here from my ruling dynasty, as well as the admiral, are pretty insane strong on their stats. And the common knowledge is that this event is quite nice, but the stats of the rulers are not really that strong. And this is not random. This is not lucky or something that I have 2 of those really strong rulers available, because I chose the tier 2 reform Noble's Electorate. Not only does it basically have no stability loss on your monarch death, which is nice, as well as some loyalty for nobility, but it also increases the skills of the candidates for rule election. And let me just talk about how insane they actually improve them. I'm probably showing you on the screen right now how the game file to that looks like, which is basically you have an option if you have the increased ruler elections skills on, or if you have it off. Okay, so you can't stack that or something, because the Bohemian government has the same thing in tier 1 reform. You can't stack that if you have the tier 1 reform Bohemia and then the tier 2 reform Nobles Electorate. It is just a simple thing on or off, which means that in a just generic game, you take this generic Elective Monarchy thing, and then you take this generic Nobles Electorate thing, and you'll be fine to go, basically. Now, you can see that on the screen right now, probably. What it does is it takes the stats of the rulers that it normally has with the event, which are typically a decrease. So, for example, if you choose an admiral or for the kingdom to rule, then that has a scripted +2 on Diplo, but a scripted -1 on admin and mill. Okay, so he's basically still average, but just focused on Diplo. Now, what this increased ruler skill from the Nobles Electorate tier 2 government reform does is it decreases every penalty by 1, which means that if you have that active and choose an admiral, then he has no decrease on admin and mill, but he has still the increase on the Diplo points, okay? So instead of an average guy, he is now, with that tier 2 reform, he is now a +2 of average guy, okay? So he has literally always +2 monarch skill on Diplo. Same goes for all of those other ones. So the general, for example, has an increase in mill, which is +2. As you can see, he has the 6 in my case as well. And the same for the influential trader, which gives an additional admin power, as you can see, 5 in this case, a +2, as well as -1 on the other 2 on basic, but in my case, that is removed, that penalty, so he has a 5-3-3 average, okay? And in this case, he's a 5-5-2, so even above average. Now, the nobility one, by the way, has normally a -1 decrease on every stat, which means that if I have increased skill, it is just an average 3-3-3, okay? Just a normal one. But where it gets really interesting is the last one, the dynasty one, where normally you would have a -1 on average on him, so he is an average of 2-2-2 normally. But if you have the increased skill from that tier 2 reform, you will not only get that removed in all 3 stats, so he will be a 3-3-3 on average, but also he gets an additional admin power, which means that there is a difference of 4 average more monarch skills for this ruler if you have that tier 2 reform that I just showed you. So just to show you how insane that is, this one over here, by the way, has a -2 on average, so he is now -1 on every category, so still worse than average. So only choose him if you have a really strong dynasty that you want to take on your throne. But anyways, if you let those first 2 options out of the way, okay, first 2 out of those 7 options, okay, then you have 5 more options, of course, plus your normal heir that you could theoretically disinherit. So 6 options to roll for a king. And those 4 choices over here are all above average. Those 3 are 2 above average, and this one is 1 above average. Okay, so you have, with this event, if you unlock all of those decisions, you will have 4 options to choose an above average ruler. Okay? And as you have 4 options, it happens that on average, of course, it will balance out that you will have like a few ones that are bad, such as this general with 036 or this trader with only 552. But you will also have a few ones that are even above average, but of course above the increased average that I just told you, which means that you will be very likely to have at least one, or probably even 2, as in my case, S tier ruler statistics that you can even choose of. So if I want to go for more admin, which I actually want to, I can choose this one for 654, even though he has 1 less statistic in total. Then I would be able to choose him if I would just want to go for the maximum statistics. And this guy is just 2 points below a 666. And I can tell you the chances to get this 4661 randomized, or by spending thousands of prestige by throwing your heir, the chances of that are so low that you will probably have this 1 out of 10 or something. And as I said, as you have so many options which are all increased on average, this is literally a 6 times, probably with the increased average, probably even a more than 6 times increased chance of getting S tier kings and rulers. And all you need to do to get this tier 2 reform that is normally grayed out is you have to enable aristocratic ideas. And now let's talk about this a little bit. You know, aristocratic ideas is an S tier idea group, let alone this one over here, the diplomat general cost for professionalism, and the leader siege, as well as the cavalry cost if you want to use that, and so on. This is an S tier idea group in my opinion, especially also for the policies. You can see minus 15% construction cost, for example, with expansion ideas. But even if you don't want to take aristocratic ideas, this just needs to be enabled. You can see I haven't completed that, which means that I was able to choose that reform as soon as I hit admin tech 5, okay? You could even go that far that you will have like a 50-year-old ruler or something, and you just unlocked a new idea group, for example, which actually happens every like 4 technologies, I think, and each technology is like 12 years, right? So every 48 years, you are able to unlock a new idea group. And you could even time that so good that you can unlock the idea group, then choose the aristocratic ideas just for a placeholder, basically, until your elderly king dies, where you first, of course, spend 50 government reform progress to switch into that. And then you choose like by the way, those are all like 19-year-old or something. So I can just, for example, choose this one over here. You can see this guy is only 20 years old, okay? You can choose like a very young guy, insanely strong. And then you could just disable aristocratic ideas again, which will then let you automatically flip out Noble's Electorate. And you can choose another one for free again. So which means that this is literally an option to just elect a young ruler every 40 years for 50 reform progress growth, and then switch out of that again without even the need for aristocratic idea to be filled out. Okay, you understand what I'm saying? And I showed you a second ago the chances, the increase of chances to get an insanely strong S-tier stat ruler are so much higher than a normal that this is an actually game-breaking thing of a combination of Elective Monarchy and Nobles Electorate reforms. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you can use that in one of your games the next time if you play EU4. And as always, we are going to see on the next Monday.